Yeti Roadie 48 versus Yeti Tundra haul. Both roll, both hold ice for days, so the real question is where you're actually dragging one. The Roadie is taller and narrower, which fits better in a packed trunk and rolls easier through tight spots, while the haul is longer and wider and swallows more for a weekend, but it's a lot of cooler to move alone. By the end, you'll know which one fits your trips. Let's break it down. Start with the job both of these were built for, which is holding ice through a long weekend without a mid-trip run to the gas station. The Roadie 48 takes up to 54 pounds of ice on its own, while the Tundra haul swallows up to 64, and in controlled testing, both have kept food and drinks cold for the better part of a week. There's an opinion about the Roadie 48 that matches what most owners describe. One block of ice lasted me 4 days, and the beer stayed properly cold the whole time. 2 months in, and the wheels still feel solid. The handle is a good height for pulling, if you're a tall guy. Same story on the haul, with owners regularly reporting 5 days on ice. That said, don't expect your trips to match the headline test numbers. In real August heat, with the lid opening every 10 minutes and the cooler sitting in the sun, you lose a day or more of that easily. Pre-chill it, run block ice, keep it in the shade, and either one earns its keep. On cold alone, I wouldn't pick between them. Where they really separate is the moment you start dragging one across a parking lot. The Roadie 48 uses a retractable periscope handle that pulls up out of the body and drops back flush when you're done. And because it's the narrower of the two, it follows you through campsite paths, gates, and boat ramps without you steering around obstacles. The haul, in contrast, runs a welded aluminum arm with a curve built into it so the cooler tracks off to your left or right instead of banging your heels on every step. That sounds like a small thing until you tow 100 pounds a few hundred yards. Both ride on the same solid, single-piece tires that can't go flat, and owners specifically point out that the haul's wheels don't pack up with sand, which is more than you can say for most wheeled coolers. Both roll well loaded, but the haul is the smoother tow over gravel and soft sand, while the Roadie is the one I'd want if space is tight around you. Rolling is one thing. Lifting is where the real difference lives. The Roadie 48 is around 25 pounds empty. The Tundra haul is closer to 38, and that gap only grows once you add 60 pounds of ice and drinks. Listen to what one Tundra haul owner says about that. The build is excellent, and it kept our beer and wine on ice for 5 days. It's heavy, empty, and very heavy full. Loaded up, it takes 2 of us to get it into the SUV. If you haul it alone, pay attention, because this is the deciding factor. Neither one is fun to lift into a truck bed or over a boat gunwale, and the Roadie gets awkward full too. But you're fighting about 13 fewer pounds of dead weight before anything goes in. If your cooler mostly rolls from tailgate to campsite, that hardly matters. If it goes up into an SUV every weekend by yourself, the haul asks a lot of you. On capacity, the Roadie holds 76 cans or 15 wine bottles with no ice, and the haul stretches that to 82 cans and 19 bottles. The Roadie is the taller box, so bottles stand upright, and it comes with a dry goods basket to keep bread and produce out of the meltwater, which the Tundra haul does not include. Durability is a wash, and it's the easy part of this purchase. Both are rotomolded with the same thick pressure-injected foam. Long-term owners report scratches and dirt and basically nothing else, and the Roadie carries a 5-year warranty. One practical note, though, is that the haul has a lock point out of the box, while the Roadie needs a separate lock port accessory before you can padlock it, which matters in bear country. For fitting it in the vehicle, the Roadie is about 20 inches square at the base, but nearly 21 inches tall, so it stands in a footwell or a corner. The haul stretches 28 inches long and sits lower, so it wants a full-width slot across a trunk or truck bed. And that brings us to what you're paying. Both are expensive, no fluff about it, and the Tundra haul is the pricier of the two. What that extra money buys is more ice capacity, more cans, the integrated lock point, and the towing arm built for long pulls over rough ground. The Roadie costs less and still gives you the same insulation, the dry goods basket, and a good chunk less weight to wrestle, though you're giving up capacity and the built-in lock. Both are a lot of money for a box that doesn't plug in, so whichever one you land on has to be solving something a cheaper cooler keeps failing at. Here's the call. Neither one takes this outright, so I won't pretend otherwise. And where you use, it settles it. Both hold cold the same way, so the split comes down to how much muscle you want to spend moving the thing. If most of your trips end with the cooler rolling from the truck to a campsite or down to the water, and you want the bigger box for a full weekend of food and drinks, plus a padlock point already built in, the Tundra haul earns the extra money. But if you're the one lifting it into a tall SUV with nobody helping, that heavier build turns into a chore fast, and the Roadie 48 is the smarter buy, especially if your gear has to squeeze into a tight trunk or a crowded garage. And you, which one would you pick? Let me know in the comments. I'll drop both in the description.